Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of True Crime with your host, me, Feminine and Fierce. Let me take a drink. Jesus, I sound all weird. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys have had a great week. I know I have not been on much for malarkey, but I will be trying to go on. That's why I went a little bit earlier tonight for true crime, because there's just so much in this case to unpack, and everybody's doing new interviews and doing new things. So there's more and more that keep coming out. Plus, the sister she went to People, the Sun News in New York, TMZ, like a whole list of people she did interviews with today. TMZ's already put hers out. Mackenzie Shrilla's dad just doesn't know when to hush, so he's done another interview lying on Dom. So we got a lot to get into, but I will be trying to do the malarkey tonight because we do have stuff to cover tonight, which we have stuff to cover every night. I know some people like to think that if Maybe doesn't go live, I have nothing to cover. That's not the case. There is so much out here to cover that I don't even have enough time to cover. Um, which is why I think that's quite hilarious. But if you're over on Facebook, hey everybody, if you're on Facebook, make your way over here to YouTube. All you have to do is go out of the live that you're in. Well, wait until you get the instructions and then go out of the live that you're in, scroll to the very top. You will see a thumbnail with me in the middle, and it says new interviews, Mackenzie Shrilla case. Click that link or click that picture, whichever. It'll bring you over here to YouTube because I'm going to be turning off Facebook. Yes, Lita, her parents have not helped her at all. And I'm not sure, as vocal as she is and as much as they talk on the prison phone calls, I'm not sure why. I think Mackenzie, well, they're all, in my opinion, very delusional. So maybe Mackenzie thinks that's a good thing, but I don't know. She needs to see it. Like, they need to hush. Um, Yes, 4 hours, Jennifer, on Tuesday, and I could have kept going for hours, like, literally. I know the comment was made, like, "Oh, she's just gonna say that she was on there too long on true crime, that's why she didn't do malarkey because Maybay wasn't live." What? I was on there for 4 hours, like, that's long enough. And plus, you guys already know the Maybay malarkey is not just Maybay. You've got Kat, SpongeBob, Tati, Brandy. I mean, like, we have a whole cast of characters, and they're always doing something. So I definitely could have covered stuff. I just didn't. And then last night, I ended up working. Um, I worked yesterday and last night, and then I worked today. So that's why. And the traffic is terrible. If you know anything about South Carolina, it's raining here, and when it rains, people cannot drive. They can't drive. Caught Liv and Gabby together or separate? Liv's got a bunch of stuff going on. Gabby's got a bunch of stuff going on. We've got a lot to cover, trust me. Regardless of whether Maybay goes live or not. um, but there is some Maybay malarkey to cover too. So I'll be doing that after this. I will put up a live like 30 minutes before the malarkey, just so you guys know. Because I'll be taking a little break in between. You guys know I take like a 15-minute break in between. So you painted your entire bathroom while I listened for 4 hours. I love that. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much for the support as well. The whole cast is deplorable, right? Yeah, people cannot drive in the rain here. Like, if it's not sunny and if it's not 80 degrees and sunny and the roads are dry, people cannot drive out here. And it makes no sense because we have a lot of northerners that come down, and I'm like, didn't y'all have snow you drove through and you can't drive through the rain? Like, what? But I digress. But yeah, the traffic was terrible. Um, so yeah, I wanted to get in here and get live as soon as I could. I am going to turn off Facebook. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. When you do come over, or if you're here already, enter the chat at your own risk. If you see someone or something you don't like, boot their ass, block them, keep your peace. We usually don't have much issue on true crime, but if it happens, it happens. Also, if I mute you, you can come back in 5 minutes. I try to be as respectful as I can to the families. Um, So I don't want anybody, of course, I'm sure that goes without saying, bashing the deceased or anything like that. Saying facts on the case is one thing, saying other things is different. But we're going to get into a bunch of stuff. I am going to say goodbye to Facebook. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, make sure you hype up the video. Thank you guys all for hyping the videos up. Um, I've seen a bunch of you guys hyping them up lately, so thank you so much. It does not go unnoticed, so thank you. And the replay crew. I got a whole crew that watches on replay. So thank you so much to the replay crew. You watching is just as important. So thank you guys so much. I was trying to make this little video because I try to make some videos where I pull stuff just so I'm not like pulling through the live like the whole time trying to pull up different chat, different things that I've seen. Also, if you guys are going through the case file or you're looking into text messages or you're on TikTok where people are putting up text messages, please, I beg you to go to the legit website and get the text messages. Because they have said that there are texts out there that are not authentic, that people are changing around to make it look a certain way. So I just say, make sure that you're getting the text from a reputable source, meaning the legit website. Um, I will say that um, anything that I show here tonight, I have went and verified with um, I have went and verified with the actual legit document. Sometimes it's just easier for me to show someone's live that's reading them out rather than me going through them while I'm live. But just know if I show them, I have double checked to make sure that they are authentic because they say there are some going around that are not authentic. And that's the last thing we want to do is put out stuff that's not authentic. Um, I'm trying to clear my storage. Okay, I am going to say goodbye to Facebook and then I'm going to hop on over to TikTok. Dom's sister is actually live now. So I wanted to see what she had to say before we get into everything. Hopefully that's okay with you guys. Um, if she's not saying too much, then we'll go on to something.
Came up for this live to help out. I don't know how to change it. How do you switch the layout?
Okay.
Everyone's saying just leave it.
Okay.
What is it that people are, what's the issue? They can't read the comments?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, like the chat gets really small with how big the request bars are.
Well, change
Because there's 8
I'm in a
request
different,
bars.
you guys, I'm in a different,
And if you guys didn't know, this is Dom's older sister, Christine. And then the person in the chat, they are family. So she had 2 people up there earlier, and I got a few screen recordings from that. But most of the people that she lets up are her family, which I don't blame her. Everybody's probably trying to get up there and say something. And, so I'm happy she's keeping it right now, at least to family only. Um, I don't know where she went. She must be trying to change what it looks like. So we'll wait on her for a second. Trying to get some of this stuff so I can bring this video. Oh my goodness, you guys. I was looking at this you talk about some small town drama. Oh my goodness. I was looking at this stuff from where I'm from, where I live, right? And I'm like blown away. It happened, I believe, back in April, but I want to talk to you guys about it. I'll probably do that on the malarkey because it is crazy. It's a pastor and he's been married to the same woman for like 20 years. And I guess he was doing all kinds of stuff with people and it's come out. It's just crazy because, of course, when it's local to you, you're like, what in the heck? But it's crazy. That pastor said, I'll just give you a little tidbit. That pastor said, I don't know, I think she's trying to fix the format of her live is what she's on pause for. But I'll tell you just a snidbit. The pastor said, and he runs a pretty big congregation. I think they call him a bishop. Either way, bishop, pastor, he runs he runs the church, right? And he was having an affair. She was married as well. He was having an affair with this married woman. He's married too. And apparently he has done this, tried to do this to multiple women in the church. And some women have even left the church over the years. But he made a comment and he said that when he preaches, now get this, that when he preaches his sermons, that he comes out. I'm paraphrasing, but basically a feeling washes over him. Not the Holy Spirit, honey. Nope. You know what that feeling is? He says he gets a strong sexual desire that his wife cannot handle for him while he's preaching. Wait, what? Hey, little birdie, I'm glad you caught up. Yes, if you guys have not caught up with part 1 and part 2 of this, please do. Because there's a lot of information there, a lot of stuff that Netflix did not put in the documentary, a lot of stuff that, you wouldn't have seen in the documentary also or on the other episodes. So there are um Killer Cases has an episode out, and Mean Girl Murders has an episode out. On the Mean Girl Murders, I can never remember the killer story, or is it not killer stories, killer cases. I can never remember what that is. If Val's in here, I know she knows the killer cases episode. But I think it's Hell on Wheels or something is the killer cases. It's called Hell on Wheels. And then Mean Girl Murders also has an episode about it, and it's season 2, episode 7. Yes. Okay. I'm not sure what she's doing. Let me refresh and see if that helps. I think
Passed on and
okay,
we can
there she
talk
is.
further, but I really appreciate the kind words. I'll pray for you.
There it is.
Oh, same for you as I have been.
Right,
And
Diane?
Thank you.
he's not getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We
No,
won't let it happen.
thank you. That's what I'm
Nope.
saying. We have like an army behind us now, which is,
Yes,
I
we
never thought
do.
in a million years it would have been like this, but this is great. It really is.
Yeah,
Yep. Thank you.
absolutely. You're welcome.
Hey,
Have a good
Nancy.
night. Thanks.
You too. Thank you.
These are fantastic. So I was scared a little bit that they would not be going well, but they're going great. Thank you guys so much.
Same, Nancy.
I think you're just picking good people, is what's happening.
That's right. It's because I'm psychic. Let's see who's next.
I heard, Nancy.
I'm sorry, but anybody without a picture, I'm assuming is a scammer, so I can't click on. If you don't have a picture, you can't get clicked on. You feel me?
You may be bringing people up.
Do you mean like a picture that's their real face, or or
No, like some have no picture at all.
no picture at all? Okay.
It is so crazy, Snow White. I
Still
can't wait
looking,
to
one
show
second.
y'all.
Any good questions in the chat, Beck? Yeah, I'm just picking at random.
I hope she doesn't mod.
Well, I did see a question asking about our political ties that Steve keeps saying we have.
Oh, Lord.
So
Yeah, no
all
political
these
ties.
crazy political ties.
No political ties, guys. Like I said in the last live or two, and I will say it as long as you guys are new to the chat. We are not a family of politicians, like he said. I swear to God. Like I said before, I might have had on my mom's side, so a different side of the family, so no relation to Dom whatsoever. Like a great great uncle that was a mayor of a small town 50 years ago or something like that, 40 years ago, maybe 50 years ago. But like nothing, there's no ties to politics at all. Russo's the most common political name in Cuyahoga County, and Cuyahoga County is the biggest county in the state. I have somebody I'm gonna pick on. Hold on one second. I had someone. Hold on,
Okay,
where'd
we
she
can
go?
come back. We can come back to this. Okay, so I'm gonna let me make sure. Okay, I got Facebook off. All right, I'm gonna start with this interview that her dad did because what? Um, like again, I want to make everybody realize I'm not saying that it's always the parents' fault, and I'm not saying, I'm not trying to justify what Mackenzie did by blaming her parents either. So I want to make that clear, because you can raise a child right and the kid go left. Um that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is it's very evident where she gets certain things from, why she believes the way she does. I mean, she was still texting her dad to bring her a warm cup of milk and rub her feet. Like, I'm not talking about once, I'm talking about like every single night. They're talking about, "Dad, can you make me a cup of warm milk? Dad, can you rub my feet?" Like, just and the way she talked to her parents, even through text message, and we've seen it on videos, like when she was at the hospital right after the crash, she's like, "Can you put that in my bag?" Like, just the way she talks. The text messages she talked to her dad about not putting gas in her car when it's her dad's car, like it's her parents' car that they let her use, and she like rips him for not putting gas. And the reason he borrowed the car is cuz he took it to get it serviced. But then even his response to me was weird, because instead of like correcting her or whatever, he's like, well, and he like they talk to each other like two friends would, like two girlfriends. Like, you know how your friends, like, you love your friends, but you bicker sometimes. That's how they talk to each other. And he's like, "Well, I took it to get serviced." He's like, "So you owe me $74 for the service and $24 for my time." Like, wait, what? Did you just say she owed you for your time? Like, just some of the craziest stuff. Um, let's see. Let me upload this video. Okay. But yeah, like I said, I'm not saying it's all just the parents' fault, but it does show a lot. So let's get this. I've got that video uploading. Let's get. And again, I don't know why the dad is even going on podcast, like why he's even going, and then to talk down. Like, I get he's trying to help his daughter, but you can help your daughter without defaming the deceased. Like, I don't know why in his adult mind he doesn't think like, "Oh, this isn't the route." Like, talking shit on Dom isn't the route. However, that is their defense at this point. They are trying to blame Dom. I am surprised, and I thought about this the other night, and I didn't talk to you guys about it, but I want to hear your thoughts. So, a lot of people have said that if Mackenzie was smart, because Mackenzie is very manipulative, people in her that were close to her, knew her, that aren't defending her, are saying that she is a narcissist. They're saying all these things about her, right? And the way that she messaged Dom's mom after Dom had already been picked up by his friend, the day that the friend called, and Dom called the friend to come pick him up on the highway, and the friend could hear Mackenzie in the background saying, "I'll crash this car right now." Mackenzie is so manipulative that she allegedly texted Dom's mom after he had already been picked up and was saying like, "Your son tried to wreck my car, he tried to do this, he tried to do that." In fact, she even was texting Dom about it. And so I'm surprised that she did not say she remembered it and say that he was the one who crashed them. The only reason I can think is because of the gas pedal, clearly, unless he held her leg down. But I'm surprised she didn't try that defense in some way. But I am wondering if because she's talked about that she wants that some of her memories coming back, and that she wants to get hypnotized to get her memory back and things like that. I'm wondering if down the line she is, yeah, you thought that was a little psycho? It was, yeah. Um, I'm wondering if down the line she comes up with this, "Oh my God, I finally remember what happened," and then continues this narrative that it was Dom doing it. Um, yeah, Sheena, she was allegedly like blackmailing him all the time about going to the police over activities that had happened. Um, but I'm just thinking, like, is she going to come? Because again, for her to get out on the one of the big things for the parole board is that you have, because they're everybody in prison, or a lot of people in prison say they're innocent. They didn't do this. a big thing of the parole board is for you to take accountability and show remorse and show what you have tried to do because of that. So if she goes in there and to the parole board and says, I don't remember, I'm innocent, that's not going to fly for the parole board. Um, so I'm thinking she's either going to come have this big memory like that has come back before the parole board or something because again she's going to have to take accountability for something in order to get out, because and I don't think she's going to get out, but she's going to try to get out. And I don't think she'll ever come to and be like, yeah, I remember it and I did try to do it on purpose. She's never going to do that. But I'm just wondering what how she's going to play this in the future. um Now, a lot of people say she didn't lose her memory, and I'm not saying that she did. I'm not saying that she did. I'm saying it is common in wrecks like that you can lose your memory. Um, I just wish there was a way to, like, some way to know if she's really lost the memory or if it's there. Like, you know what I mean? Like some type of invention where we could see like are they remembering this or aren't they type thing. um because there's been plenty of people that have gotten in wrecks and not remembered, like legit not remembered. um but Mackenzie, I think she remembers. I think the way we hear her say certain things on the phone calls, not only that, the only part of that night that she says she doesn't remember, usually, and not always, but usually, people that are in some kind of wreck like that, it'll be like a big chunk, not a big chunk of memory, but it'll be like they remember leaving their house that night and then they don't remember anything else. So for her to only not remember from the time she turned on the road until the police got there, I think that's a little sus. Um, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I do, like I said, I do think she remembers, but I just want to put that out there for the ones in the back, for everybody. There are cases where people don't remember. Um, but I'm just wondering if she's going to somehow be like, my memory's coming back. Oh my God, he did try to do this, or, like still blame him, which is the narrative they're going with. But when it comes to memory, does it only take away the memory from the wreck or other things too? Well, that's what I was saying. Like most people, she says that the only thing she remembers stuff of that night. But then she says when she turned to go on that road, that's the last memory she has, which again, that kind of makes me sus, because you mean you remember everything from that night except for when you turned down the road and then when the police woke you up or whatever. That to me is a little sus. Um, right, Nancy, right. And sometimes those memories come back. Like people will tell you, and it's like a trauma response. Your body makes it to where you don't remember it as like a trauma thing. Or in some cases, if you have head trauma, that'll be the reason you don't remember it, you know? If you damage the part of the brain where you keep your memories, of course that can happen. But I don't think she had any head injuries as far as like on her face or her head or anything. I think the nearest to her head was she broke the part like where your neck connects, like where your spine and your neck, right there where it connects. Well, Lita, the thing is her parents really can't coach her unless they're doing like writing in code or something. Because every time she tries to, that's why I think the parents know too much or know more than what they're saying. Because you saw how crazy they were when they arrested her, and her, they're in there saying like, you guys can't talk to her. That's what the lawyer said. You guys can't talk. And then every time she even goes into a memory or anything on the phone, her mom freaks out, starts making noises. Don't say anything. Then her mom always makes sure to tell her, like when she's talking about pen pals or people she's met in jail, her mom will always make sure and tell her like, don't remember, don't talk about the case, don't talk about the case. So I think it's a little bit more than, oh, well, she's a dumb teenager and she'll say things she's not supposed to. Well, if she didn't do anything bad and she doesn't remember what happened, what possibly could she say that's going to look bad? Right. Um, and so I definitely think there's more that she's told them. There was also a report out there, and I need to fact check it, but there was a report out there. People have made videos about it where she allegedly told the doctor because she had to go into surgery. There are reports out there that when she came out of surgery that she told, like, she was crying and told the physician basically that she had tried to kill herself and ended up killing two people. I have not been able to verify that with a reputable, like in the police report or anything like that. Not only that, that's HIPAA. Like the doctor, and I know if it's law enforcement, obviously they can share with law enforcement, but they could. I've seen them even strike body cam interviews because it's in the hospital, and then that's considered like their privacy as far as their doctor record, which is crazy because it's dealing with the case. But yeah, so if you see that out that she allegedly told the doctor these things, let me know where you see it. Send it to me or something. I've been trying to check my messages, which I never do. I tried to check. I think I checked like 25 messages today, so I'm trying to go through and check them. But if you see that from anywhere, like a reputable source, please let me know because I would love to know if that's the case. Um, they basically said they couldn't use it because she was under anesthesia and you guys know if you testify or anything, you have to be off of all meds. They won't let you. It won't be admissible in court because you're under the influence, right? Um, she's up in the house high as fuck, asking for milk. That was even before the wreck. She was asking for milk and stuff. Okay, this is where the dad went on.
Steve, my first question is, what is it like to be a part of the biggest documentary on Netflix currently?
Wow, it's mixed.
And again, why can't documentaries name these cases from the people that died? Like, why wasn't it called? I get it's called The Crash, but the Mackenzie Shirilla story. Why isn't it like the Dom and Davion story? Because they even said it. TMZ even said it to his sister, like Mackenzie is now at the center of the most popular documentary ever on Netflix. Like, it just infuriates me because we need to start using their names, not hers. And even I do it because that's what people know it as. But I don't know why Netflix didn't put their names in there more than hers. The parents have money and money can just get people out of a lot of shit. Yeah, well, they didn't. I don't know where their money comes from though. He was an art teacher, and the mom. I don't even know what the mom does. She talks on the prison calls. Hey, she talks on the prison calls that she has to do like 10-hour shift here and a 10-hour shift here, but I'm not sure what exactly she does. I'm wondering if it's like generational wealth. I do know. Check this out. Her dad has won Emmy awards. Like what? I thought that was shocking.
I was hoping during this process we would get Mackenzie's story out, or what happened to Mackenzie, and not necessarily what everybody's heard or what everybody keeps gleaming off of misinformation. And I want to say I was promised that it would be fair, but that's what my illusion to what was going on. That I thought they came to us thinking that my daughter is a monster and that she did this and she's hell on wheels and she picked that road and blah blah blah. What the judge said. But I think after they started talking to us, I think we opened their eyes to, well, maybe there's something funny going on here, and that's where I thought it was. And then when it came out, a lot of the stuff we talked about just wasn't there. There wasn't a lot about the fact that there's no evidence of premeditation, prior calculation or intent. It's not there. And every troll online can tell me, oh yeah, she did it, all this, and she was speeding down that road and she didn't hit her brakes. Well, she didn't hit her brakes for 4.74 seconds of that ride. That's the only information they have. 4 points. That's when the black box turned on, about 5 or 6 seconds before she crossed Almeida Road and before it went into the building. Something happened in that car that caused that black box to turn on, which was, I think the car, from our car expert that we talked to, said that the car thought it was flipping over. So the black box turned on and started recording the car information in a non-linear sort of way. And that's important, that non-linear sort of way. And it deployed both side airbags. And I'm sorry, side airbags don't just go, pillow fight. You know, it's not a soft explosion. It's a boom, and then there's powder all over there's powder floating in the car, in the cabin of the car.
Are you saying the airbags deployed before the accident?
Both side airbags deployed prior to her car crossing the street to hit the sign to get veered into the building.
That seems like a pretty big piece of information.
And see, that was something we talked about in part 2 because the mother, his wife, talked about it on that podcast she was on, that how could she be steering the vehicle because they say that the airbags deployed before she went through the intersection. So how could she have steered it, to that certain building, like all these things, that she talked about. But I don't think they realize when you're going 100 miles per hour, they hit the curb, and they say that may be the reason why the sharp 142-degree turn to the right when they hit the curb. But when you're going 100 miles an hour, there's not much steering she has to do. If she's already pointed towards where she's going and she's not braking, I mean,
Information that we didn't get.
Yeah, I wonder why the prosecution didn't want to use it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they had it. They got the black box information. The black box is a nonlinear function. It's like an airplane black box, but it doesn't record sound and what's going on in the cabin. It records mechanical aspects of the car, braking, accelerating, blah blah, that kind of stuff. So the only actual evidence, hard, knock on wood, evidence is from 4.74 seconds of that black box.
Yeah.
That's not talking what happened prior.
Yeah.
All the way to when she turned. That's another what?
So everything we saw in that video of her speeding at the
That last moment.
Yeah.
That's after the black box turned on.
and after the airbags deployed.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
it could just be 3 kids in the car freaking out because
Sasquatch could have popped in the car. Anything.
I mean, it would be hard to drive.
Yeah. Well, the car expert said, he said nobody anybody in that car would be disoriented because of the 2 explosions and the powder floating around. You wouldn't be able to see. So
again, they try to, and I see what her parents are doing. They're trying to pinpoint certain things over and over again to where the McKenzie stands can say this over and over to people when they argue. Well, she could have been doing this. Again, the airbags were not in her face when she started going 100 miles an hour, nor all the way up to the intersection. And we know now whether she was doing dry runs or not, that the friends group has said that is a cut through, which is why Rosie was on that road and allegedly went by the crash 15 minutes before 911 was called, is that was a known cut through to avoid police. But whether they went off at the intersection or not, by that point, she had already, in my opinion, she was already understanding the assignment she set out. The car was already going that fast. And again, her feet were moving. She could have, when the airbags deployed, whether she could see or steer made no difference. What she could have done is put both her feet on that damn pedal and pulled the emergency brake, but she didn't do that either. So I feel like it's irrelevant information that the airbags deployed at the intersection. She still didn't try to stop.
now I can't explain the speed. Oh, sorry. I can't explain the speed.
Yeah.
But that road is a cut
Right,
through
Billy.
in Strongsville, and the police know it.
Right,
Yeah.
Melinda.
Everybody uses it. I've been down that road at a pretty good clip at times. Not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's not at all.
it's a shortcut.
It's a shortcut for where she goes, and plus, Dom did not like going down Pro Road. He liked the.
Why didn't he like going down Pearl Road?
Because police.
He sold drugs, or at least my understanding is he sold marijuana at this time. And if he got pulled over and he had marijuana on him, he would go to jail.
There's lots of police.
And there's a lot of police, and they sit in the shops all the way up Pearl, and they don't really sit back and then Industrial Parkway. Like I said, it's a cut through. It's a quick cut through, and he always made her go down through that way. Even on her prom, her mom, Christine Russo and Dom made her go down that road. She's even, and I wish my cousin passed away a couple months ago, and he could have attested because he was in the car with us. But but my understanding is we go down that road all the time, and even in the bindover or the bindover discovery, there's a note in it that says we know it's a known cut through. So the police know it, and they even state it's a known cut through. So for the judge to go, you chose that road and blah blah blah, it doesn't make any sense because the police, the detective, because he said it, knows it's a cut through. I mean, it's crazy. And they knew, and the drugs, and so Don would have Mackenzie hold the drugs.
How do you know that? How do you know Don was into that?
I will say, and again, you guys know where I stand on this, right? So nothing I say means I'm taking up for her because you guys know where I stand. However, it did say in the text messages from Mackenzie, which again, I think Mackenzie was very manipulative, and I think she used certain text messages to be able to have proof, to be able to have screenshots. Right, Nisi? Oh, it continues. I think she did a lot of stuff to be able to have proof and screenshots of stuff. She even talks about like, oh, I'm screenshotting that, stuff like that. But even in the text messages between her and Dom, she says to him, "You always have me hold your stuff." No, the drugs were on her. So Mackenzie had the shrooms in her clothing, they said, which I'm assuming might have been like in a bra of hers. And then the scale and the Mary Jane, I think, were both in her purse.
Because my daughter told me.
Yeah.
He told me that he sells marijuana, and friends buy it from him. And
Yes, they were very open about marijuana because Daddy-O smokes it too. Which he tried to say that his comments on the Netflix documentary about Mary Jane just meant, his stance on it. Not that he smoked it, but that he wasn't against it. But in their text messages, she says to him, Mackenzie says to her dad, there's peanut butter with weed in it. And he was like, yeah, I like to smoke. He said, I don't eat my weed. I like to smoke it. And she's like, well, I'm going to get some for you, or I'm going to give you some, or something like that. So he clearly smokes.
I know a lot of.
Yeah.
I know. it's just something that I know.
Right,
There's
Jennifer.
a lot
After 4
about
years.
his background that didn't come out in Netflix either. I know he has.
Well, I think
He's been in trouble with the law before.
Yes,
right?
and that's the reason why he would have me carry mule for him, carry his drugs.
Yeah.
So if they got pulled over, she got in trouble for him, but it would be just a slap on the wrist, basically.
He had a prior charge for assault as well.
I heard something about that. I don't know the full story on it. I think
Right,
there's some kind of
Melinda?
family thing that went on, but I don't.
Any idea why that didn't come out in the Netflix stuff?
I don't know. I don't know why the Netflix people picked what they picked.
Yeah.
Why they edited it the way they edited. I'm not real happy with the way they edited some of the stuff and some of the stuff they picked for me to say. I said what I said in that, and I meant every word that I said. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I was trying to be as honest as I could, but it seemed to be more about me and not about what was happening to my daughter. And so, I mean, like I said, I'm not real happy with how the.
What? I did not get the impression that documentary was about you. What I did get is the parts that you were in were so mind-blowing. Some of the things that you said, that people did talk about them a lot. I don't think they focus more or less on you. Christine, the house that they lived in was it was a family house. So his parents owned it, or someone in his family owned the house. So they didn't have to pay rent or anything. Yeah, he's making it about him. Like, oh, they focused on me. No, sir. It's just the fact that you told that story about her bullying people in school. You're a teacher yourself, which is a huge red flag that you're a teacher and you are saying like, oh, well, if she says she didn't do it, she didn't do it. Like, we all should know. And I'm not a teacher, but I can't stand parents like that. I will have my kids back 1,000% they know it, but I'm not naive to think that my kids do no wrong, you know? So I'm at least gonna hear it out. I'm not just gonna look at my kid and be like, "Did you do this?" No. Okay, well, let's go. I'm gonna listen to what's happened. Um, so I don't think it's they focused on you. I think that the little bit they did have of you, people were mind blown, like, and your wife. And isn't it crazy how two people, they do say when you're married so long, you start like acting and looking like your partner. So maybe that is some sort of what it is. But I just always think, like, how in the hell did her parents find each other to marry each other? Because usually you'll have one parent that's a little off and the other one is kind of like the balance. In Mackenzie's case, both her parents were like heads in the clouds.
Outcome. But if it wins an Oscar, I guess I get an Oscar. I'm part of an Oscar. So
There are a couple questions that
I don't know why her little sister, she's a younger sister, maybe because she's a minor, she wasn't. I will say they were those type of parents. Like I said, him and Mackenzie were texting in 2020. Okay, she was 18 at the time of the crash. So she'd have been like 16, maybe 15. And him and her were texting, and he was telling her, be careful what you drink and smoke at the party. Like, so he knew she was doing those things. Not only that, there's one text thread in there where she is trying to get her dad to go get alcohol for them. And she's like, go get us alcohol. And he's like, I'm going to take a shower. Like, I'm tired. And he was like, just come get the ones in the fridge. There was like Mike's Hard Lemonade in the fridge or something. And he's like, come to get them out of the fridge, because Dom's house allegedly the house they lived in was only like 2 minutes from the Shirillas, or not far from the Shirillas. So he tells her, come get the stuff out of the fridge. She's like, no, I don't want to come to, like, at the end of the day, the mother took the beer from the fridge and took it down there to them. Like, what? That's just kind of the kind of things they texted about. It's so crazy.
came up since the documentary came out. I think it could have been worse. You know, I watched it over the weekend. There were a couple questions that had come up. One was, can you tell us a little, I mean, it's such a stupid little thing, your shirt. Can you
let me ask again. Is this okay? I don't want to trigger anybody in this world that I'm wearing an orange polo. I hope it's not colorblind enough for anybody.
Okay, so what he's referencing there in the documentary, he wore a shirt that said "Boom." I can't remember. Somebody said what the shirt was about, and I can't remember exactly what they said the shirt was from. But knowing his background, knowing that he is an art teacher, right? Knowing that he knows a little bit more than most people. Not only that, he worked for, I think, 20 years. Good night, PW. He worked for like 20 years in the television business under graphic design. So he knows a lot about how things look on TV, drawing people's eyes to certain places. He knows all about colors and art and things. Like, he knows about that stuff, right? So the fact that he chose this shirt, this is the shirt he wore in the documentary. The fact he chose that shirt, not only that, when it comes to TV production and things like that, if you've ever even been on the news as a kid, I can remember we won something and we got on the news and they told us, like, which of course it was for the weather thing, but they usually tell you, don't wear bright colors, don't wear green, don't wear flashy stuff, like, don't wear anything with labels, like, try to wear something like that, just like a plain color, right? So the fact that he wore this shirt that said "Boom," in my opinion and others, he was trying to put a message across. If they offered a lie detector test, she's not going to take it. For one, the lie detector tests are not admissible in court. So they do still use lie detector tests. Like, if they have two different stories from people, they'll use the lie detector test to try to help them figure out who's telling the right story. But as far as being able, if she took a lie detector, being able to say, oh, she remembers it, it wouldn't help anything in court. And again, as much as these people say, don't talk, don't talk, don't talk, I don't even think she would take a lie detector if she was offered it. Um, but yeah, I think his choice of shirt was definitely intentional, very intentional. I think they thought, just like the mom, when she calls Mackenzie to tell her that, oh, they put you on the Today Show, and Mackenzie's mom's like, plot twist, bitch. I think they really thought the documentary was going to be like this big plot twist, and it wasn't.
The shirt I was wearing is from Drip Drop, which is Crime Circus on YouTube. Crime Circus has been a defender for my daughter. He's made many posts saying she's innocent,
there
and
you
he
go.
shows the evidence, and he contradicts people who say, no, she's guilty, blah.
Well, I didn't know that. Well, even there's the reason. So again, this shirt was very intentional. If the guy, Crime Circus, has been a defender of his daughter, and you choose to wear his shirt and it says boom on it, it was very intentional. Come on.
Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, you have to look at this and this. He was
Yeah.
about a month after her trial.
Right, Mel?
His one of his posts showed up with us. Someone sent it to us, and he had found 5 or 6 videos, interviews from the Strongsville Police Department that were not in the discovery, or were not in the discovery that we could find. And we went over everything, and we had access to everything during the bind over in the trial. There were 5 interviews with Christine Russo, Dom's brother, two of Dom's kind of friends, the Flanagans, and Hench. I think it's Hench, because he gets things done. Christopher Martin, the felon that lives in
Lord.
Christine Russo's basement. And,
I'm glad, silly.
and he's the one that gave the information, or the.
Hinch is the one who was, when Dom called his mom, Dom called Hinch, which lives in the Russo's basement, allegedly. That is who picked Dom up on the highway 2 weeks earlier, and is the one who said he heard Mackenzie say over the phone, I'm going to crash this car right now.
The intent to Mackenzie in her trial. He's the one that stated something that didn't happen, and we've got proof that Mackenzie did not threaten that crash that car that day. But these 5 videos weren't in the discovery, and in all the videos, everyone that's in there says that Mackenzie has a problem passing out or seizes. There was an issue, and they just blew over it. And at some point, during Christine Russo's or the brother's interview, because Christine and the brother were there, and every time the detective asked the brother something, he starts to answer, which seems to be truthful, and then Christine Russo talks over him and answers it for him, and he goes, oh yeah. So at some point, Christine Russo says, no one's going to see these, right? And the detective goes, no, I'm not putting them in.
Wow.
So again, that's omittance, and
Yeah.
that seems kind of shady to me.
Well, if there were witnesses that could back up the claim that Kenzie occasionally passed out or had these seizures, that's pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think so. I would think the detective should, have a.
Again, from a medical standpoint, well, I shouldn't say that. From a personal opinion standpoint, in my opinion, if someone is passed out and having a seizure, 2 different things. So did she have a seizure or did she pass out? Because if she passed out, your whole body goes limp. So there's no way, in my opinion, that you would be pressing on the gas if you passed out. Not only that, you would not be able to steer a car through an S curve. She would have hit a house or something if she would have passed out, in my opinion. Having a seizure, now her leg may lock up during a seizure, but you're still not going to be able to steer during the seizure. So even if her leg locked up on the gas pedal, there's no way that she could have steered to keep it, or even not even steer, but keep it straight going 100 miles an hour. If you've ever driven a car 100 miles per hour, if you had a seizure, again, maybe you would have kept your leg locked on the pedal. I don't think so, but it's a possibility you could have leg locked. You still wouldn't have been able to get to that building. It just, in my opinion, would be impossible. Impossible. Hey, Stephanie. Right. How could she have steered the wheel? You said she killed us? Oh, no, Wanda, that was we went over that, Wanda, where they put her in the car and there's a voice you can hear whispering, she killed us. We went over that. Actually, I showed it on the first part and the second part. Just cuz some people had not seen it. But yes, we went over that.
An obligation to look into it. But when he got her, my understanding is when he
Right,
got her medical
Kyla, she
records,
hasn't.
he picked up her medical records from the day of the crash forward. He did nothing about going from the day of the crash back. That's true or false,
Yeah.
but that's my understanding.
People try to make
Sorry. The shirt.
Yeah.
The shirt is Crime Circus's logo, or one of his swag that he sells. The boom is one of his things. So I wore the shirt to say thank you for what he was doing for my daughter, and he's done a lot. And if I see him, I'm going to hug him. You know, that's the first thing I'm going to do. He's been a very good champion for. I don't get it. You know, none of the evidence changed. The black box information was the black box information.
The prosecutors gave them a place to focus their anger.
Well, their story. It was his narrative, and even in one of those drip drop or one of those release videos, the detective saying, "Well, I'm just doing what Troop wants, what Tim wants. You know, I'm just, you know." So, we believe this detective on day 3 or 4 already assumed the worst. You know, and so that's what sorry to go back to it. That's what the shirt was. The shirt was a thank you to Crime Circus. Wasn't a me being colorblind or insensitive to anybody, because that's the most idiotic. Because oh my God, why would I do that? That's got to be the dumbest take on a shirt, you know. And again, everyone, it's orange. I'm sorry if it's offensive. I apologize now.
I just assumed. I mean, it's a graphic T-shirt. And I know you come from an art background, graphic design.
Yep, graphic design. Yep.
And then you were teaching art.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now, what's happened since the documentary came out?
Well, apparently, the diocese had a problem with something I said in there, along with.
Did people contact the diocese?
Yes, that's my understanding. There was a website out of Parma, Parma something, and I guess they just called in and made all kind of stupid, baseless accusations, and then.
Stupid, baseless accusations, but they put you on leave because of it. Come on now.
The diocese has an obligation to protect the kids, which I understand. But the problem I have with the diocese doing how they did it is they didn't talk to me. They just acted.
They probably saw it themselves.
Here it is. Boom.
So you were teaching for like a Catholic school.
Catholic school, yes.
Yeah. They're saying that you know, because of the drugs or something.
It's something. I mean, in the documentary, we were talking about her.
Didn't have a problem with her.
I don't have.
Actually, the school released a statement, and in the statement, they never mentioned the rugs. In the statement, they said that they were putting him on administrative leave because things had come to their attention about his lack of good judgment, or that he had bad judgment. Hey, Puka, that is the reason that the Catholic school put him on leave. They literally had their own, they made a public statement about it and said, due to his lack of better judgment, we have put him on administrative leave. Shout out to TGK for that super chat. These parents should be held accountable just like the Crumbly parents. Yeah, I noticed a lot more people talking about like how they should be held accountable, or could there be anything for them to be held accountable for, things like that. I don't know what that would be, like what they could have charged them with. So yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why the families have not put in civil lawsuits. He taught art, silly rabbit. Which is again why I say, like, as far as his shirt, as far as like color, all that, he knows about all that stuff. The road's pretty bumpy. Yeah, I saw somebody on TikTok that drove down the road, and it is not like a smooth road. It is a road that is like, it's an older road. It's got dips and potholes and everything. But they should definitely sue them. No, so the car did not roll over. However, Toyota has one of the, they say one of the most sensitive, it's an EDR, I think is what they call them, but basically what they call a black box. They say they have one of the most sensitive ones. So if a car comes off of all 4 wheels, like if a car tilts a little, they will register that, the data, the black box will register that as a rollover. So whenever they hit the curb and the wheel jerked 142 degrees right before the crash, Toyota, the black box, actually registered that as a rollover, even though the car did not roll over. And one of the EDR specialists said that she sees that a lot. She said that Toyota is probably the most sensitive, and that almost every crash that she's seen with a Toyota will log a rollover, even if they didn't roll over. Because, like, when you're getting hit, sometimes you come up on just two wheels, you know? Um, well, if they were suing, it would be out there. People would be able to find it, because it would become public record after so long. And I haven't seen anything, but you have a statute of limitations on that, so I hope that they are working on that behind the scenes as well.
I didn't. As you know, as a parent, I pick my battles. I'm sorry if I find marijuana not that dangerous as I find alcohol or cocaine or whatever. My daughter, beyond what everybody else seems to think or wants to interpret or glean, she seemed mature enough to handle it. I didn't see a issue. It wasn't causing her to be late for this or not do this or get in an accident. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't anything that was, and I had other battles I wanted to fight with her, and I taught her right along. I said, look, you can't be driving with it. Blah blah blah. Watch with, you can't. You be careful with Dominic. If you get caught, he gets caught. You get caught. All I can do is teach her and try to make her learn. She's a lot like me. When I was little, I needed to do it.
Yeah, we can.
Experience it to.
Okay, well, here's the problem, sir, is that we see she's a lot like you. We agree on that. However, you can't do it and experience it to learn your mistakes when it comes to people's lives. It's just, that's not how it works. Hell yeah, madams, in a heartbeat, and they'd win. They could really, now that is where they could get the parents involved, especially if they can prove that, she'd already been in one wreck. She had Snapchats going 100 mile per hour and videoing it. She had many videos smoking while she was driving. Her parents were aware of it and still let her drive. So I would say they would have a case there against the parents for allowing her, knowing how reckless she was, to continue to drive. And it was their car, their insurance. So I would say that could be something that she could do against the parents.
Learn it, and don't touch the stove. Steve, don't touch the stove. And I go touch the stove and it got burned.
Right, Christine?
It's who she is. She has to learn for herself and make her own choices. And that's what I was doing. And she was getting older and her and Dom were making a life together. Now, was I greatly happy with the relationship? No. This toxic has been thrown around a lot. I didn't see the toxic relationship that everybody's saying, oh, it's toxic. This is a toxic relationship. And they argued. I argue with my wife. Everybody argues, okay? From what I knew, it wasn't toxic. They argued. They broke up. He's over the next day with flowers and candy and a stuffed animal. I mean, it was like every couple of months something would happen, and my wife was helping them try to fix their relationship, and they were never ever breaking up. And anybody who says that is lying. And I don't care if it's hurtful. They were not breaking up. They may break up, but they were getting right back together. I was on my daughter all the time. I punished her all the time. Okay, it's not me going, okay.
He punished her all the time, my ass. I guess he forgets that we could see their text messages. You saw a post earlier with the warm milk definition. Yeah, no. She was just hella babied, and they did everything for her. I don't think that it was there was a secret meaning. I think she just was drinking warm milk at 16, which is kind of gross. Since they charge her as an adult, they would have to sue her, and she don't have anything. Well, no, what I'm saying is, they could do a civil suit against her and her parents for letting her drive. And so, because the accident happened when she was 17. And regardless, even if she's 18, they're still allowing her to drive their car under their insurance policy, knowing that she's reckless. So yeah. Bullshit's what? Oh, the warm milk thing. You think that's what it is? Shout out to Silly Rabbit member for 10 months. This father is just so creepy. She does have a younger sister named Danny. Um, if you remember, I think it was the first part she referenced, her and her mom were talking about Danny having to go back to school. And the mom was basically saying that her little sister was just going to like keep her head down. And Mackenzie's like, no, she better, if they say anything, she better tell them her sister's innocent. Shut the F up. And like all these things. But yes, they have two children, Mackenzie and then her younger sister, Danny.
You just go, hey, go have a hell time, go smoke dope, have fun, woo, drive your car really fast.
I mean, that's what it.
I mean, you were telling her just be careful about what you smoke and drink. I mean, you knew she was going to parties as early as 2020. You knew she was going to parties. You knew she was drinking. You knew she was smoking. You guys talked about Mary Jane, shared Mary Jane peanut butter. Like, come on.
Looks like on the documentary it
Yeah,
looks
it
like
is, Shonda.
a teenage girl who has no supervision, who smokes weed all the time,
Yeah.
who makes her own rules, and lives with her boyfriend. How much
You
of
cut
that is
and
true? How
Coca.
much,
She stayed with her boyfriend. It was they were talking about moving in, and she was getting close to 18. And if I would have hammered her and locked her into her room, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Chain her to the bed? I mean, okay. All I can do is teach her how to survive and live. And she knew if there's a problem, who to call. She talked to my wife all the time.
Yeah, we
If
see
these
that.
two kids were going to break up and there was a problem, my wife would already know. We would have known it. Okay. I would have been very happy about it if they broke up. Okay. No boy would ever be good enough for my daughter. That's a father.
Oh, they were definitely providing alcohol. Like I said earlier, there were text messages where she was asking dad to get the alcohol for him. He was saying no. And then he's like, just come get the ones out of the refrigerator. She didn't want to come get them. So mom ended up taking the Mike's Hard Lemonade to the party for them. Like they were definitely providing alcohol.
But again, he did treat her very well. I didn't see much of the fight. I didn't see the stupid little fights or the arguments I didn't see it.
One other thing that came out I've been trying to catch up on social media about what people are saying about this. There's one other weird thing that came up that I was hoping that you could explain a little bit. I guess at one point, Kenzie and her mother are caught on tape talking in like what people are calling a different language, or like Carney speak.
It's Carney. It's gypsy speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that something they would do?
It's a family thing. It's a family thing that my wife grew up with.
Can you speak it?
No,
Okay.
it's because they do it so fast. It's
I know how it works now.
to say
You add an extra syllable in with
the is these.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say that right. It's like a pig Latin. You're adding vowels, or you're splitting the word with, and it's something that families, my wife's family has done for years. It's nothing nefarious. There's 3 broken ribs, a puncture wound through her knee, lacerated liver, lacerated kidney, bumps and bruises all over her face.
I hope, and I haven't seen all this, I wish somebody would ask him about what he said in the hospital to the officer and see if he flat out denies it. My thing is why this officer didn't have his body cam on, because they had the body cam on when they were talking to her afterward. Well, I think they had it on for a little bit, then they covered it, but you could still hear from the body cam. But I don't know why they didn't do that when they were talking to them when they came up there for the disturbance. So if you didn't know, we talked about it in part 1. The day of Dom's funeral, of course, Mackenzie was in the hospital, but Mackenzie also was not allowed to be at the funeral. Dom's family did not want her at the funeral. Now they did they did come around and hang out with her a little bit up until everything, but they didn't want her at the funeral. Because some of the family, they just didn't want her there. So the day of the funeral, she's in the hospital and she is combative and she wants to, her family's Gypsy Carnies. She's wanting to leave to go to the funeral. And so the nurses didn't know what to do because she was being combative. So they called police to come up there. I don't know why the police did not turn their body cams on, because they could have got Steve Sharilla saying this on body cam. But he literally, she was going to sign out AMA. She was an adult at this time. Like, the hospital couldn't keep her there, right? If she signs out AMA as adult, she can leave. And Steve Sharilla, according to the police, looked at them and said, "We can't let her go. Please help us. We can't let her out of here because she's already tried to herself, and two boys already." Like, that is the exact quote in the police report. And I wish, why the hell didn't they have body cam? Because I guess at this point, I mean, it's an officer, so I don't think it should be hearsay. It's in a police report. But I don't know why that was never mentioned. I mean, he said it himself. Shout out to Silly Rabbit for gifting 5 memberships. We got 5 more on the green team. Well, welcome, Outlaws. Kizzy, News About News, Florida Life, Deidre, and Amber. Well, welcome. Shout out to Silly Rabbit. I hope you're doing well. Just know you're always in my prayers, my thoughts, for you to feel well. Didn't his dad like her, but his mother knew how bad their relationship was? Didn't his dad like her? I'm not sure about that one. I don't think I've heard much about his dad, to be honest, if I can think about it. If you're talking about Dom's dad.
Both her carotid arteries were damaged. I mean, the kid's lucky to be alive. So she was on, she didn't really know what she was saying. She's just,
yeah, Lita.
She had just found out what happened with Dom and Davion, because we didn't tell her at first. She was in so much pain, and we just didn't want to add to that. So
it strikes me too.
She already knew.
Like, every time I think
she already knew from the crash site, in my opinion. I think that she was, at least, even if she lost consciousness when they hit, I think laying there over that hour, she definitely became conscious before the cops got there. Even if she did lose consciousness at one point, you got to think, they were there for an hour. Somebody came by. Of course, the people that came by to call 911, they came by earlier. I'm sure they were probably hollering to see if anybody was in there. So I do think she was laying there conscious for quite a while. And that's what makes me think that Davion really did have somewhat of a pulse, whether he was making noises, whatever was happening. I think she knew Dom was already gone, and there was a chance Davion was still with us. And I think that's why her first question was, "How's Davion?" I don't think they were having an affair or anything like that. I think she was worried that if Davion made it, that he was going to be able to tell everybody what really went on in that car. And that's why that was her first question. Because when they got up to her, she knew her name. Even when they were like, why was Davion at your and Dom's or something like that? And even the way she answered, she was like, he was staying with us. Like, you wouldn't have even been able to tell she was hurt. Yeah, I think so too, Barbara. I think there was a reason why she asked about him first. And if you remember, even the paramedics said he had a pulse. And that's why originally 2 choppers were called in. And then the EMTs didn't even think she needed a chopper. They were like, "No, she's coming with us." And that's when the cop was like, "Well, that's for her. The chopper's for her." Like, telling them, like, take her there. She knew he would tell everything. Yep, exactly. Right, the new friend. Ugh. All right, let's see what else he has to say.
It's a really stupid way to commit suicide if that's what your intent.
God, my God, she was not.
And again, he told the cops, "We got to keep her here because she's already tried to herself, and 2 boys." But yet he gets on these interviews and he just says the opposite.
She was not committing suicide. There is absolutely no evidence. No.
There is evidence, because the cops were called to your house because she was saying that she was going to do that. This is before the crash. And you guys said that she did not need transported because you guys did not think that her threats were real. You thought that she was just being dramatic. But that is exactly what evidence is called. You can't call the cops for your daughter threatening these things, and then she goes and does this horrible thing, and then you rewrite history and say that was never done. She never told us she was going to do that. It's in the police report.
no manifesto, no note, no video.
That's bullshit.
Nothing. There's not
Bullshit.
one iota
But
of
there
evidence.
is.
What do you think happened?
God,
I can't stand a
okay,
liar
to be
that
honest,
just
I
flat
don't
out
know.
lies.
I don't know. I know the car crashed. I know Davion and
Just flat
Dominic
out
lost their
lying.
lives. I know my daughter was lucky to be alive.
Bad as hell.
I know she went through I believe she was falsely accused. The charges she was accused of, I'm not completely getting away. She's not completely innocent. She was driving a car, and it should have never left the juvenile court, and it should have been vehicular homicide or reckless vehicular homicide. And I don't think you could even prove reckless with what evidence is not available to the prosecutor. But I don't know.
Why do you
I think it was. I would, if I had to give my guess, I think it's a bunch of things. I think it's a perfect storm. I'm pretty good. She was probably coming down there 60, 70 miles an hour. Okay. One theory is something happened to the car. Toyota has a history with that kind of car. It's documented. It's on the internet. I don't know. I don't know how would ever prove it. The black box isn't on. It's not recording any of that because the black box turned on down the road. If something happened to the car and the gas pedal stuck and accelerated, all would be in that car is panic. And then if that car came around that little bend, and it's not a severe bend, it's a manageable bend, and it hit that dip that used to be in the road that the city fixed last year or last summer, that car went flying, and that's what turned on. That's what the black box said. The car went right to left. The car thought it was flipping over. The black box turned on. The side airbags went off. I mean, and again, the black box is non-linear. It's not a linear recording. It doesn't go on, it's not a constant, like every micro, yeah, in a non-linear thing, it's going half second, half second, half second, half second, or microsecond, whatever the timing is.
Like I told you guys, the black box, it does not print out something that says, oh, she was accelerating 100. It prints out data. And then you have to put that data into a system that then translates the data into something we can read, which is what a specialist does. So it's a little bit different. That's why she says the rollover that it recorded, obviously it wasn't a rollover. It's just how the data interprets how it works.
It could have happened in between, and mind you, I'm not saying that because there's no proof to that. Why would I? But it could have happened.
Everybody else is saying a lot of things where there's.
See, in his opinion, he believes that she should have been charged as a juvenile because she was 3 days away from being 18. And he thinks that it should have stayed in the juvenile system. She should have gotten vehicular homicide and it should have erased off her record when she turned 18. Granted, that was 3 days away. That's how he feels. And even when they arrested her in November, months after the accident, and him and the wife went in the police station bitching because they can't do that to her. And oh my God, you did this on the weekend. Like, what? You don't get a pick when the arrest warrant comes out. He even said at the end, she was a juvenile. She'll be charged as a juvenile. And the cop was like, like he didn't want to say it, but it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's how this is going to go. Right, Kathy. Yeah. I still go back and forth of whether she was trying to do it to herself or not. But I definitely think that she was trying to do it to him. And then I think she just didn't give a shit what happened to Davion. I think she didn't even take him into consideration because allegedly they argued about Davion coming with them. People have come out and said that she did not want Davion to get in the car. She wanted it. So I think that makes me think they may have been fighting even before the ride home. And maybe Dom begged Davion to come with them because, like Bubba said, Davion and him were going to go fishing. And he was supposed to ride with Bubba. And then he came back to Bubba and was like, oh, well, I think I'm going to go, which you got to remember, he was staying at Dom's house. So he told Bubba, I'm going to go take a shower and get a few hours sleep before we go. And he was like, that was weird. We told each other we loved each other that night. But he was supposed to stay there and ride with that dude. And he got in there with Dom. I'm wondering if Dom didn't beg his ass to come because he didn't want to argue with her all the way home. Um, I don't know, but yeah, they argued. She was like, I don't want him to come. Like she didn't want it, which is weird because he was staying with them. So did she know before she got in the car? Is that why she argued that Davion not go? And then once they argued to her about him going, that's probably how she justified, like, fuck it. Like, I tried to get him not to go and he argued it, so fuck it. Like, I take her as that type of person. No, Davion was supposed to ride with Bubba. Yeah, Davion and Bubba were going fishing. And he was supposed to like stay there, ride with Bubba, and then at the last minute, he told Bubba, "Oh man, I'm gonna get a shower and sleep a little bit before we go." And he was like, "All right." And he said him and Davion told each other they loved each other before, and like they had not done that. He said they had maybe done it. I think he said they had done it a couple times, but it had been forever. Um, so, but this guy's whole interpretation, like the whole thing about the car, an expert has they've already examined the car. They even thought at one point because her slipper was wedged onto the gas pedal, they even at one point thought that could have been maybe her slipper got wedged. And then an expert came in and was like, no, that happened because of the impact, not prior to impact. So those experts know what they're talking about. So for him to even be trying this bullshit narrative still about the car, who knows, blah, 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 they tried that already. It's just, and then again, if you're going to come on here and you're trying to defend your daughter, lying, even about one thing, lying about her not having ideations prior to the crash, that there's no record, there's no proof of that, that's all hearsay. For you to know there's a police report out there and blatantly lie to everyone, most people, after they figure out you lied about that one thing, nothing you say is from then on out matters, because you're already now a liar. Again, they're not helping her.
No proof.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Hey.
Well, yeah, especially the prosecutor,
Yeah,
and there's more to that
Shanae.
if we can get to it eventually. But at the end of that video, the brake lights go on, and their car expert said, "Well, that's a safety feature."
Yeah.
Well, why didn't the brakes go on?
Aren't brakes a safety feature by design?
I think so, but what I'm saying is, the brake, you could see the brakes clearly
On the video.
on the video. You clearly see them.
They said that is remember we talked about that. People are saying that was the safety feature because on a Toyota, when you hit the brake lights, when you look on the video, the brake lights get brighter at one point right before the crash. Right before they hit the sign, the brakes get brighter. And another reason that it's not headlights is because on a Toyota, that model, it's got one of the brake lights in the top of the back windshield. So that lights up as well. And people were saying that was the car brakes trying to stop the car, like the automatic stop, which my car has that. But when you're going 100 miles per hour, she already had hit a curb, the airbags had already deployed, the trajectory, those automatic brakes didn't even make skid marks. Like there was no way of slowing that car down by the time she hit that sign.
And his response, well, that's a safety feature. Well, why didn't the safety feature work?
It couldn't slow it down.
Yeah.
It hadn't hit anything. It just went across the road. That was right as it went across the road. So why is the...
They can't be quiet because from the moment this happened, the only thing, in my opinion, that they even thought about, besides the daughter getting in trouble, was social media. I mean, we listened to the 911 call 7 days after the crash. The mom's calling the police talking about these people are being mean. And he's like, Mackenzie don't have a phone, right? Because at this point, Mackenzie was allegedly didn't have a phone, all these things. And then he's like, well, what's the phone number? Well, clearly she's on social media reading this shit. But that's all they have cared about. And now that Dom's sister has come out and she's on TikTok, she's on YouTube, she's got her platform's blowing up. She's doing press and she's going around and doing every interview she can do out there to get their voice, because they've been doing it this whole time in their small town. And so they can't stand that. Like they cannot stand that his sister is getting a word in as far as the public view, because that is what they truly give a shit about. I mean, it shows in everything they do.
Safety feature only working right there. So
Right,
Why do you
Nancy?
think they went so hard against her?
man, well, there's the part where maybe I'll get myself in trouble.
Let's try to avoid.
I think there's some collusion going on. I think it's a fix. I think it's a favor. That last name Russo in this town.
It's like, I was trying to explain that to somebody. Having the last name Russo in Cuyahoga County is like having the last name Kennedy in Boston.
There might be some truth to that. Like I said, this is a political family, and I apologize to the Flanagan family right now. If it was just Davion in the car, she wouldn't be in jail. She would have. It would have never left the juvenile court. This has to do with the boy's last name, and
That is sad as hell to even put out there for his family. Like, that's just awful. I mean, he's already been called the new friend. And now you're putting out this narrative that if it was just Davion in the car, she wouldn't have even got arrested. I think there's more to that than what he's trying to put out there. Clearly, her and Davion didn't have a tumultuous relationship where she had already threatened to crash a car. So maybe that would be the difference, but we all see what he's trying to do there. He's trying to make it about other things and their last name, and oh, she wouldn't have even went to jail. Well, there wasn't the history there with her and Davion. And she would have went to jail she would have still went to jail, in my opinion, for vehicular manslaughter, because she was under the influence. So she'd have went to prison for at least a few years, if not more, just for that. So I think that's BS.
and the judge saying, "Well, I don't have a blood relationship." Look, I'm not saying
Right,
she has got a
Melinda.
blood relationship. I'm saying she has relationships with the Russo family, and her even saying that in court it's just if you're going to believe doesn't have a relationship, you're fooling yourself. I'm not saying it's directly with Christine Russo down the road here, but it's with somebody, and
There are many Russos
Yes.
in judicial
positions.
here
So
in
is
fact,
this guy?
prosecutor's office.
So is this guy that's doing the interview? Is he like a friend of theirs? It says True Crime This Week, and he's got 9.8 thousand subscribers. So I'm thinking maybe he's just a local true crime guy or something. Because he acts like like he knows the town or something. All right, we'll come back to this. Let me go to this one.
Christine, first of all, we're
This is-
so sorry.
This is Dominic's sister.
It's just horrendous when you watch what happened. It's just unimaginable
And even though-
what your family
Yeah.
has gone through here, because
Yeah,
it's just,
Puka.
it's just gut-wrenching. So
He got hurt.
why don't we start with this?
So Davion was like a star football player and had aspirations to go really far. And he ended up getting hurt. I mean, most of you saw the documentary, but he ended up getting hurt. And when he got hurt and his dreams everything he had worked towards got taken away from him in high school, they said that he started hanging out with the wrong crowd, experimenting in things. His sister has even said that her parents, which was his parents, I mean, they were adopted. They came from what I have heard, their family struggled with addiction, and they were put in the foster care system, and they were adopted by their parents. And the sister of Davion came right out and said that she was drug tested up until, I think she said 21, or maybe through high school. I think she said 21, and that they tested her for not only drugs and alcohol, but they tested her for nicotine. So I'm sure if they're like that with her, they were probably like that with him. And so they said he just went down the wrong path after being hurt.
That Mackenzie is now the centerpiece of one of the most successful documentaries Netflix has ever put up. And
Wow.
what that means is if there are eyeballs on it, there are opportunities there, and it seems like this is where you're triggered.
Yeah, it's absolutely infuriating. It's exactly what she's always wanted. She's laid in, the second after she killed my brother and Davion, within hours of killing two young men, she laid in a hospital bed making TikToks and trying to get modeling gigs on Instagram. That's all she's ever cared about. So it is infuriating that this did so well because she has exactly what she wants. And that's where the petition that I just started to modernize the Son of Sam's law, the Dom and Davion's law. I'm trying to make it so that she cannot profit off of my brother's and Davion's murder, and people.
And I will get the link again. As you guys know, the link, I've shared it with you guys. If you have not signed the petition, please sign the petition. It is called Dom and Davy. It's on change.org. It is called Dom and Davion's Law. It is so that it is basically modernizing the Son of Sam law. Basically, there are loopholes where they can, monetize off things that aren't in the Son of Sam because they weren't around back then. I think it was made in like the 1970s. So there was no TikTok, YouTube, all this stuff, right? And they don't want her, again, they've said it, they don't want her to come out. If she does get out, God, for, they don't think she will, but if she does, they don't want her to, or even while she's in there, they don't want her to be able to profit off of this in any way. Shout out to Ladybug for becoming a member. Hey, Ladybug. Yes, I'm going to get the link and drop it in just a second.
Like her can't profit. Violent criminals shouldn't be able to profit through social media, donations, interviews, GoFundMe's, loopholes, things of the sort. Son of Sam's law needs to be modernized. Things need change with the digital era. It needs updated. She has found loopholes already. She's loving every second of the attention that she's getting.
Christine, tell us about the loopholes that you believe she's found. I know she was interviewed for the crash for the documentary. I haven't seen anything that she was paid for that. But what are there other loopholes, as you put it, that you think she's found?
There's donation sites. I'm not sure the sites. I know it's not a GoFundMe, but it's one of them platforms where they've raked in thousands of dollars taking in donations for her right now. There's also.
What do they say those donations are for? Is it for her legal defense?
I'm not quite sure off the top of my head, but she's getting the funds. And I've also spoke to people that she was in prison with, and she's living a completely lavish lifestyle, and they're funded by these people that, she's gotten the attention from the case.
Explain the lavish lifestyle.
I've heard she has 4 or 5 pairs of shoes, $400 hoodies. She has hair wands and hair curlers, waist trainers. I could keep going, but she's got everything she wants in there.
So I imagine there are people who are putting money on her commissary so that she can go and get all this stuff. Wow. That is, I get why that would be very upsetting for you and your family. Have you spoken to any legislators in Ohio there that are on board with this?
I've only started this week. We do have, I think the Flanagans may have one legislator, but that's what I'm putting this out for and calling out, and that's why I'm doing these interviews is please, if anybody's out there, get in touch with me, thebigsisterunhinged@outlook.com. But yeah, I need help. I don't do politics. Despite what the Shirillas may say, we are not a political family. That's one of their defenses. But I need help, so reach out.
I would love to talk to you about the end of that documentary, where her mother says that an email was sent.
Mackenzie's mother, yeah.
By Mackenzie to your mom about Dom, and the way I'm doing this from memory, that Dom had threatened to kill them both, and that
at some point in the last month. Before the crash.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up so I can tell the world the truth. So 2 weeks before, approximately, don't quote me, about 2 weeks before she killed my brother and Davion, she was driving her vehicle down the highway where they started to fight. She threatened to kill him. She was driving erratically. Dom called his mom for help, and there's witnesses to that were there and heard this. And then Dom had to get picked up from the side of the road. So Kenzie was driving and was saying that she was going to kill him. Now, what Kenzie did, because she's a narcissist, and was covering her tracks because everybody heard the call and knew what she had done that day. Dom, the friends, the family, everybody knew what she had done. So she was trying to save face, and then texted my mom to save face and try to cover her tracks. She's a master manipulator. A lot of things that we're seeing on the internet is a ton of misinformation. That's why I started my podcast, The Big Sister Unhinged, because there's so much misinformation floating around. That's a huge piece. She was just trying to save face and twist the story. She was sick.
Okay, Christine, thank you. There was a text exchange between Dom and Mackenzie that prosecutors released this week, and it did have her referring to him trying to kill her, but there was no context. So it sounds like that's what she was referring to. And you're right, she did just say it as if it had happened and there was no context. So thank you for providing that. You mentioned your podcast. It's called The Big Sister Unhinged. You started this a few weeks before the documentary's release. Did you start it because you knew the documentary was coming out and you wanted a platform to get your family's side of this out?
Exactly. We've been battling this for about 4 years now. This has always been a highly publicized case, especially in our communities. It's been all over. But I knew that with the Netflix movie, we've sat back for 4 years and have been so helpless, having to watch people say terrible things about my brother and victim blame and slander my family. And, you know, the internet, there's internet trolls. You guys probably know that best, you know. So I sat back for 4 years as I watched my family sit here helpless. So in wake of the Netflix movie, I woke up one day and I was like, I have to do something to protect my brother's reputation, our family's reputation. I want to do something positive. I started a foundation. It's called the Change the Game for Dom Foundation, where we're going to help underprivileged kids play basketball and sponsor leagues and things. I'm doing a petition. We want to keep Kenzie from getting any attention. I want to bring awareness to true crime, like the families behind true crime, the grief that's behind it, and domestic violence awareness, especially in teenagers, and, you know, bring awareness to young men too, that women can be just as evil and dangerous as men can.
So, you know, finally, there are varying views from people who watch the documentary on how they see things. Do you think Dom was portrayed fairly?
I haven't watched it, guys. So
Really?
Okay.
I previewed it before they had me preview it without me knowing. I walked in and they're like, oh, you're going to preview it. And I didn't see the final version. What I saw, I was fuming and infuriated, and they did edit some, you know, to my requests and things, but I'm so worried still that people think badly about my brother. But everybody has to realize that this was a real case. He is a real person, and Davion too. This is not a story that these boys were murdered in cold blood. She is a cold-blooded evil killer, and that, you know, I haven't seen the final version. So in a lot of things, it's like, I don't know. I
imagine it was too painful, sort of relive. I mean, I'm sure for your whole family to have to sort of relive all of this now with all the attention from the documentary.
In that version you saw, you know, and I don't know how much was changed from that, but, you know, I'm curious what you thought about the way they characterized the relationship between Dom and Kenzie.
Well, I hope that they put out how volatile and toxic she was to him. There is so much more that I know is not in there. So much more that the public doesn't know, that like we know about, his closest friends know about. There is so much more. So she is beyond guilty, beyond a reasonable doubt. But there's a lot more that the public doesn't know. You know, there's a whole, so much more, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you so much for joining us, Christine, and wish the best to you and your family. as
There are so many people coming out that have known her. I might skip through some of this a little bit, but these are just some things that I had found. But this girl, I guess, went to school with Mackenzie, like has known her for a while. Her video was kind of all over the place, but I did put it in here. So let's take a look at some of this.
To make this video for such a long time.
He was supposed to be there that night.
To come out with this whole little fun thing on the most horrible person in the world, most horrible human being. I have known the Shirillas since I was in first grade. I thought Kenzie would be a good person at some points, and I was friends with her. Putting pictures right here. I was actually really close with her before the time of the entire crash thing. We hung out all summer. Literally all that summer we hung out. Excuse if you can hear anything. I'm in my balcony, which is in a courtyard. So on the night of July 30th, we were supposed to all go to a party. The only thing that I could ever say that ex-boyfriend did to help me was tell me not to go to that party. Davia, and Kenzie showed up in my driveway on July 30th to go to that party, and then my ex-boyfriend, not disclosing his name because he doesn't deserve any of that, he's like, no, my ops are there, we're not going to that, And then the next morning we found out. Let's rewind. All throughout that summer, I was at Dom's house, I was at Shrilla's house, I was all over because we were all hanging out all the time. There was not one time that we weren't all hanging out and they weren't fighting. I know the Shrilla family because I grew up with the Shrilla family. Even my mom, her 4th grade, when I was trying to be friends with Kenzie, and I was like, I don't trust that family. And then she invited me out to this night, and I was about to get into that car to go to that party, but
Yeah, I think she seems a little like she had to drink one or two, maybe trying to get the nerves away. Not a good idea.
God, the abusive boyfriend was like, no, my mom was like, watch Nada Shrilla do all this and try to like get like a whole like TV show on Kenzie, some fucking like clout.
Yeah.
What's she doing? Kenzie and Dom met, and Kenzie and Dom were together. Kenzie was the most unbearable, aggressive bitch. Her whole family is horrible. And then the whole Rosie Graham situation. I hated her for so fucking long. She has been such a fucking liar from the start. Her whole entire channel was the start of her losing weight from her whole like workout routine. Her workout routine is a fucking sham. She got mono, and you can
Not she got mono and lost weight, and she does have Rosie Graham is the one that was on the documentary that was like hardcore Mackenzie, the one that had like 300 and some thousand followers when they met. I think she at one point, I think the other day I looked and she had like 900,000 or something, but there's this big movement right now to cancel her because of the documentary and her being friends with Mackenzie. But that's crazy. She does have workout routines on there, but she's saying she lost the weight by mono. All right, this is the dad's like video for the school, I'm guessing. She did start crying about.
Hi, I'm Steve Shirilla. I'm the art teacher here at Mary Queen of Peace. I started as a sub in 2019, and in 2020 I was hired full-time as the art teacher here at the school. This is my first classroom. This is my first teaching job. I've done a little subbing over the years, but this is my first full-time, my classroom. I went to Ohio University. I've got my BFA in graphic design. I received that back in 1990, so I'm a little older teacher. I got a little slow start in doing teaching. I got my teaching certificate from Baldwin Wallace, and that's basically my education. Other than that, I've got 25 years experience working in television as a graphic designer. I've won Emmys. I've got Pro Mexico medallions. They're like Oscars for promotion and art and TV. I'm married. I've got 2 daughters, teenage daughters. I've got a lot of goofy hobbies. I race slot cars. I collect comic books. I collect Hot Wheels. I'm a 12-year-old at heart. So, which makes me, I guess, good with all your kids. My favorite thing about teaching is the kids. I feel like I relate to them. I can talk to them. I come in, I ask them how their weekend is. They ask me how my weekend is. So I get a good rapport with the students, and I guess that's me in a nutshell. I'm your art teacher, or I could be your art teacher. We have a lot of fun. I do all kind of art. I have them draw, I have them paint, I have them sculpt. I am trying everything. I'm an open book right now with what I'm doing.
He said he has won Emmys with, I guess, doing graphic design for news channels. And then he said he had won awards that were like the Oscars for graphic designers. So he's won Emmys and in his field, the Oscars. What? I'm a 12-year-old at heart. That tracks. Exactly. A 12-year-old at heart that can buy alcohol. Lord, watch out.
Come to MQP.
And I lost my place, guys. The woman who left him on
This was a live that was done earlier today.
the road to die alone has been able to live her life. Will finally sit for only 1 year in jail starting in August, followed by probation. Her friends have been all over social media defaming my family. Wow, I am so sorry. And especially my loving and amazing brother. Jesus, I thought I was alone out there. Huh. Proud of those pushing to keep a voice there for Dom. He deserved better. He deserved his life. Justice for Dom and Davion. And justice for your brother as well, Gabrielle from Hibbing. Thank you for your support. Reach me. Maybe we can work on this together, and get justice for your brother as well. That is sad. I thought that I was alone in this. This case has changed my whole perspective on a lot of things, and 2 innocent people were unalived, way too young, and this case is always on my mind. I know there is no real justice, but she needs to be locked up for life. 2 beautiful souls. My condolences. Thank you, McKenna from Fort River. Stuff like this is like, you know, especially people relating, it's really, you know, it sucks that this stuff happens in general, but it really, sorry, I'm reading, can be really, it's sad, it really is. I'm looking for some more. Yep, boys can be victims too. So yes, that's petition, almost 100,000 signatures already. I'm gonna try so hard. This is my mission to, thank you for putting that in the chat. That's the, that is the petition. Please sign it, share it. And there's also a foundation. The petition, they keep dropping it. It should be in the chat somewhere. Or you can look on my YouTube, my Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I think it's all over the place. Thank you guys for your support and your kind words. I don't know what about their phones. What do you mean? Because of this, I got Life 360. Yeah, I know. Me too.
This is Dom's older sister. Christine is her name. And she has a podcast and she goes on TikTok under the Big Sister Unhinged.
And it's like, for what? It's not going to change anything. I'm going to help to change something, especially with talking to kids about domestic violence. That's why I'm doing this narcissist awareness 100%. I'm going to go to high schools and I'm going to talk to young kids about domestic violence, red flags, narcissism, things like that. Thank you. We'll change the world. Yep, I'm going to try. Life 360 was the app that Davion had, and that's why a couple of his friends went right to the detectives, because they noticed very suspicious behavior. Something wasn't right, which led to the investigation. There was a few things that led, but that was one of the big things. Yeah, the dad, these comments are going so fast, sorry. The dad is out there still saying and slandering my brother and my family, showing no remorse, no sympathy, taking no accountability. Look who he raised. I mean, are we surprised? I'm not. Hence why I'm doing this. Oh, we got a high school teacher in here. Do a couple of movements. You can unfollow these terrible people. Like, bottom line is this was a true story. It's a real family. We're really grieving. And it is a shame that some people really have used this, for gains or,
So she's asking people, and I might have skipped over it. She's asking people to cancel Rosie because Rosie has a big following. Let me look at how many people she has on here right now. Because, like I said, she was close to 1 million, I want to say, when I looked. Some people probably have unfollowed her since then. 968.7. So 687,000 people. Jesus, get it together. So she's that close to 1 million. So she's telling people to cancel Rosie.
Like, bottom line is this was I'm not going to say her name anymore. No attention. We're going to do a couple of movements. Cancel Rosie. Cancel the girl who hurt my brother. We're not going to say her name anymore. No attention to bad people. The Shirillas. A couple YouTube channels. I'm not sure how I want to go about that yet, but if you can unfollow these terrible people. Like, bottom line is this was a true story. It's a real family. We're really grieving. And it is a shame that some people really have used this, for gains or, people putting things for attention, to try to trigger us for attention or clicks. It's been disgusting.
Yeah, and that she was talking also about the guy who did the interview with the dad, because he does sound like he's local to her.
Every couple of days or something, like, about how the cemetery is a public place. Like, yes, I do realize that the cemetery is public. I'm not asking you guys, like, I appreciate the support and stuff, but when somebody's there mourning a family member, like a parent, please don't run up on them talking about what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, there's no respect. Set some boundaries. And she keeps commenting. It's the weirdest, oddest things. I swear it's just for attention, so I don't give it. I'm just deleting. Yeah. I can't wait for this to blow over, so I can stop, being in defense and living in defense. I'm glad I got to establish a platform and talk about it, and I'm going to be going over misinformation. I was doing that for a while. I'll do it Sunday too on my big live. I'll have some more guests and then go over more misinformation in the movie and stuff and real life. I'd like to go over things that you guys just, the internet does not know, Every sane person's on the boys' side. Thank you, I appreciate it. Jackie. Thank you. Tell your husband I said thank you for angels never die. You're absolutely right about it. It's just a psych ward or something like that. It's because the crash happened. He even asked for her to be moved to a psych ward or something like that. It's because he said his daughter was suicidal and that she killed 2 people. They admitted it, and then it's just been retracting and corroborating their story ever since. I'm so sick of them in their interviews. I think they should stop. This is ridiculous. People hate you more than they did now. Let it go. Hold some accountability. Teach your daughter some accountability.
No doubt.
Terry, I believe everything you guys see. Mention, I don't want to hear them. Same thing with the text messages or anything. Like, it's all, don't believe this and other.
So if people there, I've not seen, like I said, I have definitely double checked. The text messages that I've seen have come from the website itself, because I had gotten a set that someone else had categorized into a, like the ones that I posted, or the one that I posted on there, those were categorized into like a spreadsheet. So I have went back, at least the parts that I have talked about, and made sure that anything that I have shown or that I'm about to show is 100% in the text messages that the police put out. So they released the text. They released, the police, for all that is public record. So I've been able to go back and make sure that everything is 100%. Now, I have not went back and looked. What they were talking about on this live is there is allegedly text messages where her brother was talking about people of color. And she has said that she does not want to see the text messages, that thinks that it's an invasion of privacy. But she has also said that there are fake text messages going around, and that her brother was, because people are trying to say that he was the R word, which in my opinion is insane. And even the whole selling thing, even though that is 100% in the text messages, even if he sold stuff, it doesn't mean that he deserved to die the way he did. But that's what people kept asking her about over and over. Have you seen the text messages where he allegedly says X, Y, and Z? So that's what she was saying, like, don't believe everything that you see. I did see the text messages that they're talking about. I just have not had the time to go and like double reference with what was on the actual legit website, because these text messages, like there's two sets. There's one set that looks one way and one set looks a different way. And then there's other people that have different ones. So everybody's posting them. So I haven't been able to go and double check and see if those are in the police report. But he allegedly said something. Allegedly, he said something about pew-pewing people. I don't know. And they do say NIGGA to each other the whole time. And neither one of them, I don't think, neither one of them were black. But that's like what they called each other. I don't know.
Just like, one of my good friends, Ricole, she was there with me to sit with me and, hug me and things and talk to, but, yeah, so that's why.
Does it say Dr. Phil rescheduled? I missed that. I wonder if she said Dr. Phil was good. Are they going on Dr. Phil? Has anybody seen that? I know somebody said that they were in her live today. Did she? I must have missed that if she said something about Dr. Phil. I just did see that they pinned it. Dr. Phil rescheduled. So I don't know.
By driving to work.
Okay, let's see. He really didn't say much in any of these, really.
Good questions, though. I'm here to answer them. That's what I'm here for. Why didn't moderators, will you pin some of these? So I think it'll. Okay, Fifi says, I think it'll eat at her. I think sooner or later she's going to come out and say it was intentional. My thoughts on that is that she is going to come time for a parole hearing, and she's going to try to pretend like she's sorry. She will never, a narcissist can never really take accountability for their actions. I don't think she'll ever be sorry. I know she'll never be sorry. Look at her actions and her words since but the parole hearing, the parole officer
of us over the shoulder of this girl, because I couldn't see at first, and she was on FaceTime with Kenzie, basically.
Okay, so right here, she had to go to the bathroom, but her family member had come up. and it's her family, right? And they were talking about the fact somebody had asked, was it true that Mackenzie was not allowed to go to the funeral or something like that? And the sister answered and said, yes, she was not allowed to go to the funeral. Remember, Mackenzie was in the hospital being combative, trying to leave. That's when allegedly the dad had made that statement about her doing what she did. Um, but she says, yes, that Mackenzie was not allowed to come to the funeral, but that she snuck her way in there, kind of. And so that's what this family member is talking about. They're saying that they walked up to the casket and they looked over, and this girl had fucking Mackenzie on FaceTime. Can you imagine the balls of the person who had to freaking FaceTime somebody next to a casket? And not only are they FaceTiming someone, they're not family. First of all, they're not family. They're a friend from high school, and they're FaceTiming the girl who was driving the car that took his life in the middle of a funeral with surrounded by his family. The fact that they did that for Mackenzie just shows what everybody was talking about in the Mean Girl Murders and in the Netflix documentary about how these girls would do whatever, like to be her friend. And like, it's so strange. But that's high school. I mean, it's not strange for high school. That's, she was like the top dog, I guess. The fact, though, that at the funeral, I mean, that takes some balls, because that took a chance of somebody snatching your ass up and being like, what the F? Because I'm telling you, I feel like I'm a majority healed in that part as far as like popping off on somebody. I feel like I'm pretty stoic when it comes to things like that. But I feel like that right there would have went to my soul, and I'd have had to snatch their soul, because the fact that it's not like being on FaceTime with somebody that just didn't get to come, and how dare you even FaceTime this moment, but you're FaceTiming someone who knows they're not allowed there. That's just like her little thing where she was trying to get somebody to go sneak in his room and get I think it was his brother maybe or somebody, and like sneak in his room, get pictures so that she could have somebody put the pictures, or she could, because I think at that time she thought she could go to the funeral, but she was going to put pictures of him and her in the casket. It's like the whole story of like, if I can't have you, no one can type shit. Not only that, like, you did this and you're going to put the pictures in there and he has to live with that. Like, that's some demented, in my opinion, that's some demented, sick shit. Ugh.
So she was showing her all the pictures that they had displayed and stuff, and I had went to go grab somebody because I knew she wasn't allowed to be there. So I had went to go grab somebody, like, hey, she's on FaceTime here. And while she was doing that, my husband had seen her, like, flip the camera over onto the casket. So she was looking at Dominic laying there. It was just really sick. And then by the time I had grabbed somebody to, like, get her, like, or I don't know, like, alert somebody to her doing this, she had already booked it out of there. So
Yeah, that's what I was saying the first round, Maribel. Like, someone who did this, like, she's the reason he's there in the casket. Like, you're FaceTiming the person who did this. Balls. Of course she booked it. If I was that family member, I wouldn't have went to get nobody. I would have took that straight up with her. Like, in the moment, what are you doing? I probably would have snatched the phone out her hand and went to jail, knowing my luck.
It was everything was so emotional.
Right.
At that time, that it was like, I'm not going to cause a big scene at my cousin's
I see
funeral.
that. I get that
At
too,
my younger
but
cousin's funeral. Like, I'm not going to
that'd have been hard.
knock her out of someone's head or You know, it was just awful. It was just awful.
Didn't you say, Lydia, that you didn't know who she was for years until you watched the documentary?
I can't 100%. I'm not with 100% certainty who it was. Rob swears it was someone who was in the documentary when we saw the documentary, because I don't know any of Dominic's friends or people posing as friends or the crew that he ran out with. But he said that it was somebody in the documentary. But I said without 110% certainty, we cannot say it was that person.
Right.
But Rob had recognized. Yeah, Rob had recognized somebody from the documentary, like, that's the girl.
But it was also 4 years ago now, so.
It was also, almost 4 years ago. And I said, Rob, if you are not 100% and I'm not 100%, we can't not say it was that girl.
Right, and it was not Rosie. Just saying.
This is about clearing up.
Well, the girls on the documentary would have been Rosie was on there, and then the other friend of Mackenzie's was Faith, the girl that talked about that she wouldn't even eat a crispy chicken with her at McDonald's. So I bet you it was that Faith girl, because she had been talking to Mackenzie a lot on the phone too, in jail.
Misinformation, so we cannot 100% say it was not somebody. You know.
So it was Becky. Did you? Heard she hates when her dogs bark.
Question in there that I don't want you to have to answer, so I'll answer it. They asked, why was Davion on top of Dominic? Guys, they hit a wall at 100 miles per hour. Everything in that car was thrown forward and into the point of impact. So when...
Which is true. And we talked about that. I still wonder though I still think one of the boys is who knocked it into neutral, trying to do anything they could, but we'll never know, sadly.
When you hit a wall at 100 miles per hour, you're going from 100 to 0. Everything in that car is being
What the hell?
thrown forward into the passenger corner of that car.
Hey.
That's just what happens. So that's why he was on top of Dominic. He was not, no, I don't think he was trying to jump forward and grab the wheel or do anything. Maybe in the last couple seconds, but everything in that car was in the passenger corner of the car. Everything, not just the people, everything in that car was in the passenger corner of the car.
And I also seen comments back about, like, why was she laying more towards Dom's side and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's contested. There's multiple. There's a couple reports where she's under the steering wheel, and there's a report where she's on Dominic or something.
Yeah, but even so, like, I mean, I'm not like a forensic analysis or like I can't even change my own oil. Okay, but I know that the side airbags were deployed too. So you think that would push you, anyways? You know what I mean? Like, there's just everyone has a million theories about what happened in that car after that turn, but nobody will ever know until Mackenzie tells us. And I don't think she's ever going to tell us. Honestly, that's my own opinion.
Yeah, Christine, you had an interview earlier today where the gentleman said something really, like, you could tell that he spent a lot of time in court systems, and he had a lot of, what did he say, he was an anchor of 2020 for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what he was saying was the whole fact that she is going with I can't remember, like, that there is no reasonable doubt with I can't remember. Now all of a sudden, no matter what you tell us, you can't remember, so you can't say it for sure anyways. There is no...
Yeah, she really, her saying she couldn't remember, and this is why some people think that she really can't remember. I tend to lean on the fact that she didn't know any better. I think that she thought saying she didn't remember was better for her. I don't think she knew by saying I don't remember that she was literally canceling out so many defenses. Because she doesn't remember. She can't say it was this that happened, or it was this that happened, or my shoe got stuck, or she can't say any of that because she now has said, I don't remember. So I tend to lean more towards she just didn't freaking know and she wasn't smart enough to realize and just thought that was going to be the perfect defense. One. I mean that I tend to lean that way versus any other way. I think she just didn't realize. Versus that she really doesn't remember. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say I tend to lean towards she made it up, said she couldn't remember because she's probably heard of people that have had crashes and didn't remember. And she thought that was going to be the perfect defense and she just didn't know any better. Versus the people that are out here saying, why would she say she can't remember? That ruins her so many of her arguments by saying she can't remember. Like clearly she doesn't remember, or she would just say she did and blame it, blah blah blah. Nah, I don't believe she thought it out like that. I don't think she knew that. I don't think she knew saying she didn't remember would cross everything out. Like mm-mm. I think she was just dumb and was like, "Oh, this is going to be the perfect defense." Not realizing like it's the worst.
Plausible scenario you can now give in that car that could have happened because you can't remember. So yeah, the fact that there's so much physical evidence with the data of that car against her, unless she can come up with a plausible actual story that she remembers and can attest to, there's no hope in her ever being able to find her like any sort of innocent plausibility in this.
Beck, you just reminded me that I did see this funny thing that she said, like in one of the calls or something like that. Her mom says, "Oh, like we're gonna write that book, or you write that book, or whatever." And Christine said that, "Oh, what is the book gonna say? I don't remember." And then the rest of the pages are blank.
Wow. Right. What's she going to talk about?
Like, how are you going to write a book if you don't know anything that happened? Like, she actually said in there, I don't remember anything, but I know I didn't do it on purpose. Lady, if you don't remember, how do you even know you didn't do it on purpose? You can't, you don't remember or you do, but you can't not remember, but then still know that you didn't do it on purpose.
Right. All right, let me go.
No, she knows. She knows exactly what happened. I know she
30,000.
Okay, so here's some of the text messages. Again, I can say that these text messages are in there, but listen to some of these.
Of them. I'm going to break down some of the text messages that stood out to me. Trigger warning.
Hey.
This discussion will include emotionally toxic relationship dynamics that may be difficult for people who have dealt with or who are currently dealing with this. About 3 months before the car crash happened, Dom actually called her out for being a narcissist. He says, "I told you that I've been telling you for a while about your compassion, and I realized today you show many narcissistic traits towards me." And he tries to explain, we have a narcissist empath relationship. And she responds by saying, "And there you go, calling me a narcissist again. Clearly, you have some underlying issues going on." And this one says, "I swear to God, this is not going to end well if this isn't fixed." And he tries to explain to her, that's another narcissistic situation. Don't say I'm calling you a narcissist. I'm saying the situation. Within the fight that occurs, the narcissist will never say sorry and end the fight, and the other person has to fix everything. And her response is, "I'm not effing apologizing for shit," which is exactly what he was talking about. Flash forward 2 weeks before the car crash happened, July 18th, 2022, there was an incident that in the text messages, Mackenzie was accusing Dom of trying to end her life in the car when she was driving.
Yes, now they're saying this is part 2 to her manipulation, because if you remember at the end of the documentary, the Sharilla family came out with this packet of text messages and showed these text messages where Mackenzie texts his mom and says that Dom tried to jerk the wheel, tried to end her life, all these things. The reason they say that was not in the trial and that was not relevant is because Dom had already been picked up by his friend before she ever sent those messages. And they're saying that she did the same. You heard Christine talking about it on TMZ, that she did the same basically to him. Now you'll see Dom, when she says it to Dom, he says, okay, even though I didn't. Like he keeps saying he didn't do it, but they're saying that this was like her second layer of protection because allegedly Hinchman had heard her on the phone say, I'll just crash this car. So she was like, they say she was covering her ass.
July 16th, 2022, 1:30 p.m. Mackenzie says, I'm on the way. Same day, but 10:30 p.m. Dominic says, he good? Question mark. Mackenzie says, I'm going to file a police report. That's at 1 p.m. the following day. For context, Mackenzie is saying that Dominic tried to end her life, saying that he grabbed the steering wheel. Dominic says, if you do, I'm telling your mom you're a prostitute, because you are. Mackenzie says, okay, that doesn't really bother me. I mean, you've blackmailed me enough, like, I literally don't give a single fuck. Dom says, okay, let me know when you file that report. I have a whole report about your situation with your feet. She says, all you are is mentally abusive, physically.
Okay, so you guys remember the feet discussion we talked about that they continued to bring up for like 7 months, I want to say, before the crash. It was like a constant fight that they fought about all the time because Dom would always, it seemed to me, reading through the text messages, it seemed like Dom was scared to break up with her. And so he would say he wanted to go on a break. Like, we need to go on a break. And really, in my opinion, all it was because she literally begged and pleaded to be with him every second of every day. And he would put her off and put her off and put her off. And finally, he'd just be like, we need to take a break. So he did that quite frequently. And I think he was just too scared to break up with her for real. But in one of those breaks, she allegedly let a man, instead of doing it with your tatas, she did it with her feet. So he effed her feet, if you catch what I'm saying. And this is for educational purposes only, awareness purposes only. But yes, he allegedly effed her feet for a fee. And so they brought that up constantly in their text for, like I said, about 7 or 8 months before the crash. It was like an ongoing fight. He would always bring it up and be like, he didn't want her hanging out with this certain girl because the girl was also doing those things. Like, they also found in her Snapchat where she was trading pictures, trading videos. I think it was like $1,000 for certain videos, and then they could meet up and she would spend the night for $2,500 and they could quote unquote do whatever they wanted. That showed up, when they took the stuff from Snapchat, her standing with like huge stacks of money all the time, but had no source of income. So yeah, she was definitely, but yeah, that's what they're talking about with the whole feet thing. Basically, she just put her feet out there and he used her feet, if you get what I'm saying, which is crazy, and you have to remember, she was a minor at this time. When all this was going on, she was a minor. And these, I'm sure, were not minors because they hung out with a guy named Carl that was like 30 something. They also would hang out with a guy named Kyle who was of age that allegedly was with young girls. We heard on the prison calls where the mom said, you gave so and so, she wouldn't say the name, but she was like, yeah, you gave so and so her Instagram. And Mackenzie's like, who'd I give the Instagram to? What are you talking about? And her mom's like, yeah, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. Clearly she had given some dude a girl's Instagram for those kind of services. She was underage, Christine, because you got to think, when she wrecked, she was 17. She turned 18 3 days after the wreck. So all of this is while she's a minor. Now you have to remember, her and Dom got together. She was a freshman, he was a junior. So by the time the wreck happened, she had just graduated and he was 20, I believe. They're like almost 3 years apart. But yes, all this was being done while she was, all this actual activity and like actual work and the Snapchat sharing images, all that would be considered child porn. So it's not just like she was an ex worker. Every image and video that she sent and people paid for, those would be considered child porn. And so I don't know why these people that she was doing this with are not being prosecuted. Are they being prosecuted? We don't know about it. I doubt it. But I don't know why. Maybe because she's in prison and she's like not coming forward. I don't know. But yeah, all that would be considered, you know what? Which makes it a whole new level when you think about it like that. Which now they say she has no less than 100 sugar daddies. Of course, now she is of age. All right, listen to this.
Abusive and a terrible boyfriend. You don't do anything good for me. You literally treat me like shit and call me the worst names you can think of. The fact that my boyfriend of 4 years just tried to end my life by steering me off the highway, that's how I know you're not in love with me. You never were somebody who loves me. Someone who loves me would never do this to me. Dominic says, I really didn't, but okay, Kenzie. Mackenzie says, somebody who loves me would just apologize because they care and want me to feel loved. Dominic says, goodbye. I want my money too. Mackenzie says, I should have known this relationship was never real when I told you I love tripping with you and you just said you love tripping. Dom says, civil claims court, you heard. Mackenzie said, okay, then I'm going to the police station right now. Dom says, okay, I'm telling your mom. Mackenzie says, keep trying to blackmail me. You know I can blackmail you 30 times harder. Dom says, yeah, I'm a rapper. I make music. Mackenzie says, somebody who loves me would never talk to me or treat me this way. Dom says, you're the one who keeps taking it further than it is. You could have just left it alone and I'd go home. Mackenzie says, the only reason it went this far is because you tried to end my life. He says, Kenzie, I didn't. She responds, you could have just apologized when you did something wrong, but I forgot. You're too immature. Dom says, why would I try to kill myself too? Kenzie says, probably because you're mentally ill. Dom says, whatever, Kenzie. Mackenzie says, that's what I thought. This relationship will never be the same after today. I don't even know if I can be with you after this. I absolutely cannot believe you just tried to end my life. Dominic says, okay, then don't be with me. Mackenzie says, you need fucking help. Dom says, Kyle was right about you. Mackenzie says, you blackmail the person you love. You try to kill the person you love. Dom says, no, you blackmailed me. You threatened the cops on me first for no reasons. So yeah, I'm gonna tell your mom that. You blackmail me every week. It's always the cops or some with you. Like, Kyle was right for sure. Mackenzie says, end this. Clearly you want to be with me but treat me like shit, so end it. And Kyle fucks 16-year-old little girls. Be cool with him. That's not a flex. Let me know when I can come get my thing. Dominic says, I'm sorry. Mackenzie says, that's not enough to fix it this time. Dominic says, well, I am sorry. Mackenzie emphasized her message, and then Dom says, I just wanted to say sorry, that's it. Mackenzie says, oh, so you wanted to say sorry, but you didn't want to fix any of the massive problems you created? Cool. For pages, they go back and forth about Mackenzie saying that he tried to kill her, and he's saying that he didn't. Dominic eventually says, I'd rather be dead than in jail. I'd never wish jail on anyone. You throw jail around like it's nothing. Then it goes back to the
Which is crazy because he says he would never wish jail on anyone. She's sitting in jail because of his death, and then he tells her, you throw jail around like it's nothing. And now she threw jail around like it was nothing, always blackmailing him, saying she'd go to the cops if he tried to break up with her. He would tell him, she would tell on him for the things he was doing. And that was probably a lot of why he stayed with her. But the fact that she was like trying to get him in jail all the friggin' time. And then he's like, I would never wish that on anyone. And now she's sitting in there is wild. Like, there was a lot of stuff in these text messages that just gave me chills. The whole helicopter thing threw me out, like so many things.
Them arguing back and forth, her saying he tried to kill her and him saying no, he didn't. Mackenzie does say, I'll snitch, and he says, snitches get stitches, and then she says, I'll just screenshot this message. July 18th, 2022, Mackenzie says, and I don't even think that you have the right mindset to have a girlfriend because you can't even tell me that you care about me. She sends another message and says, you just fucked up. And then another one that says now. Another one that says now. And another one, now. 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 Dom responds with a question mark. Mackenzie says, we're done. Thank you for wasting 4 years of my life. Dom says, okay, Kenzie. Mackenzie says, you can finally be with Hannah. If you cared about this relationship and wanted it to work, you would have fixed it by now. Dom says, I didn't tell her. Mackenzie says, we're done. You are the worst. You have 5 minutes to open the door to your house. So now she's at his house. She says, you're going to tell me why I should stay in this relationship with you, and it better be 3 very good reasons. Dominic says, why are you here? Mackenzie says, if you can't tell me any reasons on why I should stay in this relationship with you and what you love about me, then I'm done. You've wasted my whole high school career. I thought you were the one, but clearly you're not. She says, you're going to tell me why I should stay in this relationship with you, and it better be some good fucking reasons. 1 minute goes by and she sends another text and says, it's okay, we already have major problems now. It's way more than what it was before. She sends another message and says, so you're going to open the door, or you can come to my car and you're going to tell me the 3 reasons why I should stay with you. If you can't give me 3 reasons, we're breaking up today. He said, not when you're all heated. You got me heated too, for real. Mackenzie says, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to open the door, come in my car to talk, because I'm not leaving. Dominic says, I need to shower. Mackenzie says, I really don't care. So what option are you choosing? Are you choosing to let me leave and we're done forever? Or are you going to come out here and tell me 3 reasons why I should stay with you? Dominic says, I just don't want to right now. We should do this later. He says, well, you got me all mad talking all that shit, so I'd rather wait. Mackenzie says, okay, so you're single is what you're saying. Let me know right now, but I'm gonna leave and you're gonna be single. All you're giving me is that you're too immature to work this out. Dominic says, you were just banging on my window. Mackenzie says, yeah, I was trying to let you know I'm here because you blocked me once again, being immature. Dominic says, fine, I'll come out, just give me a sec. Mackenzie says, you're gonna be in the backseat of my car because you're not allowed in the front. Dominic says, okay, well, don't have it started. I don't want you to try to pull off. She says, do you think I would have my car started with you knowing that you just tried to kill me? I'm very okay and you're trying to kill me again? You better come inside my car ready to give me 3 reasons with why I should be in this relationship with you and 3 reasons on why you love me. You better come ready to prove to me that you're worthy. You have 2 seconds to come outside or I'm leaving and we can just be broken up. Timer starting now. Open up now. Now. Yeah, this relationship is looking like it's not gonna work. And did you tell Davion to unadd me or something? Ask him why he unadded me. She's in the middle of arguing with her boyfriend for the last 2 hours and she just asked about Davion. She says,
Okay, so there is what I'm talking about, where she does ask him, like, did you tell him to unadd me? And she's talking to him about, like, Davion blocking her at one point. And so that's what I was saying. Like, he had blocked her right before.
why are you not answering me? What the fuck? ... Okay, sus AF, why are you not answering me? Dominic says, I'm literally about to come back. Mackenzie says, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Dom says, okay, yeah. He says, want me to bring back Chipotle? Mackenzie says, nah, fuck you. January 6th, 2022. The cops don't care about the party, Mackenzie says. They just want to know about the fall. What fall, you ask? Check my previous post. Dominic says, it doesn't matter, don't talk to them. Then I can't look bad. I don't give a fuck. You're making me look bad. You're fucking us over. Mackenzie says, I'm not. N-word. Dominic says, then why are you talking to the cops? That's literally the dumbest thing you can do. Don't tell them anything. If you do, I'm gonna be mad as fuck. Neither you or your mom tell them anything. Mackenzie says, I didn't tell them anything. Don't be mean to me. The fuck? I'm not dumb. Dominic says, you're talking to the cops, so yes, you're fucking up. That's the first thing me and my mom said to never do, unless a lawyer is present. Like, Mackenzie said, my mom is on the phone. He's saying I'm not in trouble, stupid. Dom says, okay, and she doesn't have to talk on the phone. She doesn't have to talk to them, so don't talk to them. Mackenzie says he's saying it's an accidental fall. Dominic says, I'm for real mad as fuck. Stop talking to them. You're gonna make me tweak. Y'all are fucking us over right now. I'm so pissed. Couldn't listen to the one thing I told you to do. Mackenzie says, do I have to block you? Dominic says, like, how can I trust y'all when y'all finna just talk to the cops? No, you just gotta stop talking to the cops and everything will be fine. You talking to the cops isn't doing anything for anyone. Not for me. Not for you. Mackenzie says, my mom is recording. Dom says, not for Kindle. Mackenzie says, read, idiot. Dominic says, not for anyone. Mackenzie says, this.
Okay, so they're talking about something that happened right before the crash. And it happened, and I've still not been able to find out who this Kindle girl is. There was talks that she had fallen downstairs. Somebody pushed her downstairs. There's been different rumors about this girl named Kendall. And clearly they were trying to cover something up about this girl, Kendall. Because Mackenzie was like, I already told him there's cameras. Like, what the hell? He's like, why? Like, tell him there's no cameras. I already did. And he's like talking about buying her a Louis Vuitton bag because she almost croaked at his house. Like, I'm curious what this Kindle issue was. And she was in a hospital for 10 days because he's like, see, they said it was going to be 3 weeks and it's been a fast 10 days and now she's in rehab. Like, damn, what happened to this girl?
This is about me. Dominic says, I don't care. Mackenzie says, we got issues. Mackenzie says, stop testing me. Dom says, y'all are so dumb for talking to the cops. So dumb. Literally the one thing you didn't have to do. Honestly, I'm so mad. You really can't keep the G code, like what the fuck? Send me the call when you're done. Is they still talking? Mackenzie says he's on the phone with Emily. Dominic says, the cops? How did they get her number? in the call. He says, I'm not making it worse. The cops are lying to you. My mom has been a lawyer for 20 years. She knows what she's talking about. Mackenzie says, bruh, you need to stop being dumb. Get your shit together and talk to your mom. Dom says, I literally can't trust you. I was next to her when I was calling you earlier. She said not to talk to them unless she's there. She literally talked to you at school. So a lawyer and your parents wasn't there so they can get info. Like, pretty simple.
Oh yeah, this was oh man, the last
They can get
part.
info. Like, pretty simple.
This was a message before the crash that he had sent her. This was in the same month. This was July 2nd. So a couple weeks, like at the beginning of July, and they crashed at the end. And he had wrote this to her, and it said, Kenzie, I know I love you, but I don't think we should be together at this point. There isn't very much time on earth, you know. I'd like to think we could stop fighting, but it's a breakup fight every week. Neither of us deserve that. I don't want to fight all the time. I know you don't either. Anyone who's around anyone every day of the week is bound to fight. If we can't separate for a little, then we are only going to fight more. I don't want you to think I'm abandoning you. I wish I could work, but I don't think it's going. I wish it could work, but I don't think that it is at this point, especially with the threats. We should just break up so we can both find happiness somewhere else. And that was July 2nd. So sad. I mean, he was trying to break up with her and she was blackmailing him. And, you know, they had these secrets together. And, you know, this thing with Kendall happened. They had other secrets together. And again, just because the stuff in those text messages, it doesn't mean he deserved to die like that. So please don't get that mixed up in what I'm trying to say, because that's not what I'm trying to say at all. You could clearly see for 2.5 years he wanted out. He wanted out from the beginning, and he even says the threats. There was 100% threats. So yeah, I mean, I don't believe for a second that there wasn't some intention. There wasn't the intention. Again, I go back and forth on whether she intended to do it to herself or not. I do think the way she hit the building was intentional. And I think it was intentional. It was on their side. I think she went that way for a reason. So I go back and forth on whether I think she meant to, you know, do it to herself or not. But I do think she meant, like, if I can't have you, nobody will. Because they had been breaking up for years. I mean, and we don't see their relationship. I would love to be able to see the dynamic like the first 2 years, but they said even in the first 2 years, they were nonstop. Her freshman and sophomore year, we don't get to see that. The only texts we see are from junior and senior year. So we get 2020 till 20, you know, up until the crash. But they dated her freshman and sophomore year as well. So yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to get off here and then I'm going to be back on with some malarkey. I will see you guys again. I may go live again before Tuesday for some true crime. I'm not sure yet. Just see how it goes, because I've been having this case that I want to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with you guys as well. But this, it just seems like more and more. And I still didn't even get to everything. I still didn't get to the ex-boyfriends. His interview with the police, and then there was another interview that was just done that I didn't get to. So the 2 interviews still didn't get to, and we've been on here 2.5 hours. Like, I swear with this case, I could go on for 5 hours every time I talk about it. But I am going to hop off here and take a little break and then come back with some malarkey. I am going to set it from 30 minutes from now, but I will be back before the 30 minutes is up. I just do that so it sends out 2 different notifications, hopefully. But I will see you guys soon. I will see you Tuesday, maybe before, for another episode of True Crime. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great night, and hopefully I'll see you back for some malarkey. Bye.